The Consortium of Health and Military Performance, also known as CHAMP, of the Uniformed Services University of Health and Science, known as USUHS, is conducting a study to understand a possible genetic link between sickle cell trait, known as SCT, and exercise-related events, known as EREs, such as exertional rhabdomyolysis, muscle damage, heat stroke, and or collapse. We are inviting African-American men and women with sickle cell trait and their family members to participate. Participating in the study will require you to complete a health history questionnaire, a form authorizing our study physician to gather health information from you and your healthcare provider, as well as a one-time blood donation. In order to qualify for the study, you must meet the following criteria: be African American, be sickle cell trait positive, be able to read, speak, and understand English, be between the ages of 18 and 80, and currently not being treated for any mental or psychological disorders. Participation is completely voluntary, and your decision will not impact your healthcare. The results for this study are for research purposes only and are not intended to directly benefit any individual for confidentiality reasons. However, the results of this study are intended to help better shape policies and associated health risks affecting the SCT community. Participants may be compensated for their time. To join the study, or if you would like additional information regarding the study, please contact the study team by phone, area code 240-479-9514, or email sctstudy-ggg@usuhs.edu.
The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, morrismedialive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
Peace be unto you. I'm Sister Charlene Mohammed. Welcome to Liberated Sisters. Today's show, Pumps on the Ground, coming live from the 23rd anniversary of the Million Man March in Detroit. Minister Louis Farrakhan brought the nation here to commemorate the historic 1995 event, the gathering, the convening of 2 million black men on the Mall in Washington, D.C. That's right. Again, we're here in Detroit. We're going to be coming with some interviews, some feedback, some analysis on what this weekend meant. And of course, you know, we're going to have an excerpt from Minister Farrakhan's message right from the beautiful Aretha Franklin Amphitheater on October 14th. This is Liberated Sisters. I'm Sister Charlene Mohammed. And now, the Justice Report.
Thank you for having me. I'm Shakura Sentwali, and I'm the Minister of Finance for the Black Panther Party Cubs, headquartered here in Chicago under the leadership of Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be. Please give Brother Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. our greetings, okay?
Yes, I will.
Now, give me in a nutshell, what's happening with the home and how did we get to this point and what do you need people to do?
Okay, well, we started the campaign to save the Hampton House about 2 months ago as soon as young Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. learned of his family home, his grandparents' home, the house where Chairman Fred Sr. grew up. This was his childhood home. And so about 2 months ago, and of course, you know, Mr. and Miss Hampton have passed away, and then, of course, Chairman's brother and sister have also, you know, they're passed away. So about 2 months ago, Chairman just got information that the Hampton home was going into foreclosure, you know. Anyway, he got wind of that. And so he immediately started the process of moving on, trying to stop the foreclosure, proving interest with the mortgage company and so forth. And so we were in that process. And so anyway, it was a real struggle because Chairman's father's name is not on his birth certificate because, of course, his father was assassinated December 4th, 1969, and Chairman was born the 29th. So, of course, that took a little longer. By the time he got everything straight to deal with the mortgage company, the house, they had put out a notice for sale. So we are in a critical spot. And the thing is this, it's just like most of the families we know. We don't necessarily know what's going on with our grandparents or great uncles or whatever property. But when something comes up, we say, hey, we can't let that be lost, that property be lost. Our grandparents were. So anyway, that's where we are. And so the house will be auctioned on the 23rd. That's why the deadline is the 22nd, that we are raising we have a GoFundMe account. I'll give all that information, later, but I was wanting to bring you up to where we are right now. And so we need...
And as you can, one moment, sis, I want to say that the plans are for the house to be auctioned because people love the Black Panther Party. They love Chairman Fred. They know what he has done for the movement and our people. And so that's the plan. But I believe
that's it. Revolutionary love and appreciation, Sisters Muhammad. That's exactly it. This house, we will witness victory because this is a piece of this is our legacy. This is the legacy of the Black Panther Party. The party who raised up and helped so many around the world, not only right here, helped us to understand that we have a right to self-determination. We have a right to protect ourselves. That legacy of loving our people, loving our community, and doing what we need to do to be able to take care of ourselves and protect ourselves. That legacy, and then the legacy of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr. When people stop, sis, when people stop for a moment, it's phenomenal. This leader was 21 years old and had just turned 21 years old 3 months prior, August the 30th. So if people would just stop for a minute, he was such a visionary. That's why he was such a target by the government, the FBI, and this COINTELPRO. It's in the paperwork. He was one of the names that was redacted. They knew that he could electrify and unify the people. Right. And we ain't talking about raising up to go. No, we're not saying we were leading. No, raise the people up, help them to understand the contradictions so we can continue to move forward and they can see for them. Our people see for themselves. So we cannot. And then at 21 years old, and the courageous sister, Panther of her own, Sister Shakura and Jerry, laying there, 4:30 in the morning, December 4th. Our people got to understand how important this is. 20 years old, but saw the vision, saw how important it was for our people to understand the relationship we have with this government and so forth. But 4:30 in the morning, came in there, and even as the police were vamping through the house, Panthers were saying, the police are vamping, the pigs are vamping. And Chairman could, not raise his head because he had been drugged that night before. But Sister Shakura, 8.5 months pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant, threw herself over the chairman. That she knew how important.
What love.
Yes, and the legacy, yes, how important it was. But, of course, they came in there and they pulled her away, took her into the kitchen, and they fired shots at the head of the bed. And everybody knows the rest of the story. And the people came out for blocks, freezing cold, one of the coldest days of the year. People were wrapped around the block and were able to see what was that massacre on Monroe was being characterized as, saw with their own eyes. And so people didn't have to say, oh, the police are lying. They saw with their own eyes. And then when it all came out later, one shot fired from the Panther, Defense Captain Mark Clark, who was sitting at the front door on guard. The police shot through the door and shot him, and in a death spasm, one bullet, and all the other bullets riddled through that house were from the police. So our people saw it with their own eyes. That's the history and the legacy of the house. But what we have to understand, and what Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and others are helping us to understand. We're continuing that work. We're continuing the work. So the Black Panther Party Cubs, we're still dealing with, political prisoners. We're dealing with political prisoners. We're dealing with the community, the children. We have a CCC program called Children, Community, and Cubs, where there's activity and food every weekend that's going on in different parts of this city and other cities where Cubs are on the ground.
Wow.
We have Freedom All Radio, which is our international PE, political education online every Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. So so we're dealing with the issues, the very real conditions of our people. From of course, the police shooting us down, our children unarmed, walking into our apartments and our homes, murdering us. From that to what what they're continuing to do to the sisters and brothers and the young ones that are in these what they want to call detention, but these are concentration camps. What's happening with our people there? And so still raising and dealing with. So this house will continue to do the work. We'll continue our program with the children. Then we're going to do other programs as well. So
how can people help, and what's the contact information?
Okay, the way people can help is to send donation or go through GoFundMe, and I'm going to share that information right now.
Okay, great.
People can go to our GoFundMe account, and it is www.gofundme.com. Then it's /8, the number 8, the letter EKZE, the letter 8. Then it's --save --the Hampton House. So.
And listen, everyone, you can go to #SaveTheHamptonHouse. The beautiful images. I love the pictures that are plastered over the windows and the doors. And Sister Shakura, I want to say thank you so much for pausing and being patient and taking time to speak to us about this on the Liberated Sisters Justice Report. The Final Call newspaper is definitely getting this information, and we want you to keep us posted on what's happening. And please give Chairman Fred and Mama Akua our love and greetings from Liberated Sisters, okay?
When they type in www.gofundme.com and they just start the rest, it will pop up, and it'll say Save the Hampton House, but that's what it is. So it's GoFundMe.com /8 EKZE8 and then Save the Hampton House. The phone number that can be called for more information is 773 area code 256-9451. We're having a telethon 48 hours starting October 16th, which is Tuesday, at 3 p.m. in the afternoon Central Time at the Hampton House. We're going to be here at the Hampton House. So that's October the 16th and the 7th. So that's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be here all day. People can drop through here if they'd like. And Congressman Davis is also supporting this
is this
campaign.
Danny Davis?
Yes.
Davis? Okay.
Wait, is his name Danny Davis Comrade? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's him.
Rep Daddy. All right, I'm like, you all keep pushing. I'm glad that you're able to share this on Liberated Sisters, and we can do our part to push the word out.
And they gave, thank you, and I'll make sure I give love to Sister Akua and Jerry and Chairman Fred, as you asked, yes.
Please.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sister.
you, sister. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, alaikum salam.
That's our Justice Report, and now the 23rd anniversary of the Million Man March. You'll be hearing the names of those that we were able to speak to, Pumps on the Ground, and the segue into Minister Farrakhan's message, which you can hear in its entirety at noi.org.
Allahu Akbar! The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah for this wonderful, wonderful teacher that we have. He's a friend of the black man and a friend of the oppressed all over the world.
Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Him.
That's our Justice Report, and now the 23rd anniversary of the Million Man March. You'll be hearing the names of those that we were able to speak to, Pumps on the Ground, and the segue into Minister Farrakhan's message, which you can hear in
particularly
its entirety,
the black and the brown,
which you can hear in its entirety
who have
at
lived under
noi.org.
and oppression ever since we set the soles of our feet in the wilderness of North America, and our people have suffered greatly every day of our 463 years of sojourn in America. I'm honored by the grace of God to be with you today. I feel a nice breeze at my back. You may say, boy, what you doing in Detroit, October? Don't you know it's going to be cold in here? No, I'm so happy to be here. I believe we're going to warm this place up. I am a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and what God may inspire me to say today is from being a student in his classroom for 63 years of my life. I want to thank all those who spoke before me. Boy, I feel bad. You all look like you cold. I didn't put on no long johns, brother. But I'm almost willing to say that before long it will warm up. It'll warm up because the God we serve is the master of climate and climate change. So just relax, enjoy yourself and enjoy each other, and above all, try to enjoy the word that God may give me for each one of you who came here today. I'm honored, and we are honored by your presence, and we are honored to be in this place, and we call it hallowed ground. Hallowed ground because Detroit was chosen by the Son of Man, God in person, to visit this city to start what is now known as the Nation of Islam. He came alone. He came by himself. He used many aliases. One of them was Farad Ali. Farad meaning alone, singular, by himself. And those of you who study Scripture, it is written that God would come, but he was seen as a man treading the winepress alone. The Bible says his arm was not too short to save, but he came to North America unobserved by the authorities. Well, how was he unobserved by the authorities? The Bible said he would come as a thief in the night. And it says that if the master of the house had known in what hour the thief would appear, he would not suffer his goods to be taken. God didn't come here to play. He came to get you and me and us. Your suffering in America was not because you did something wrong. Your and my suffering in America was not because our parents did something wrong. Our suffering was to fulfill a purpose that God had predicted thousands of years ago about our sojourn in America. It is written that the seed of Abraham would be a stranger in a strange land. It is written that every day of our presence in America, we would be afflicted by a strange people. I think that has happened, hasn't it? It said, but after that time, I, God talking, will come. After that time, I will come with a specific function. First, to judge the nation that had afflicted his people. Second, to raise the nation of black people and brown people and red people whose sojourn in America left us like the dry bones in the valley, divided, hopeless, in despair. But God, it is written, would choose the foolish things of the world. He would choose a people that were made nothing to bring to nothing the things that are. You have a great destiny. Your suffering was not in vain. And the enemy knows our future better than we do. He is frightened not of guns, because he's got big ones. He's frightened of truth because he has deceived the whole world. So whenever a person has lived by deceit and built their world on falsehood, the one thing that they fear is the truth. And a man in whose heart is the courage and the strength and the love of God and the love of the people of God to speak the truth regardless, even if it costs his life. That's why Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. What truth is it that we don't know? But the moment we hear it, it'll begin to unloosen the chains that have been taken from our feet and placed on our minds, so that today we have become enemies of our own progress, enemies of each other. So the theme of the Million Man March 23 years ago was atonement, reconciliation, and responsibility. Those three words are the root of why we're here today. Atonement means reparation for a wrong or an injury. The enemy has injured us. Would you agree with that? And we are in need of repair. But the enemy is not going to repair what he skillfully destroyed. Only God, who loved us, would repair our broken spirit, our broken minds, a destroyed will. Only God. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that asks a question: is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? And later it says, but there is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. I love being here in Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. I know we loved her singing and we loved her soul, but I'm not sure that we knew her in the depth of who she really was. I was not blessed to know my sister up close and personal. I met her in 1972 when the police attacked our mosque in New York. And I was on television ordering all white people out of Harlem. And I was not smoking nothing that day. But Aretha, with her blessed soul, she saw us on television. And as famous as Aretha was, she left wherever she was and came to Harlem to stand with me and with us. This is the God's truth. Aretha was not a sister that gave 2 cents for fame or fortune that would deprive her of standing up for a righteous principle. She was more than the queen of soul on that level. She was the queen of soul on the highest level of the manifestation of soul. I'm going to say it again. Aretha came through a great preacher my dear pastor and brother C.L. Franklin and her mother. But Aretha came through them. But Aretha came from God. Is there a balm in Gilead? Nobody touched our soul like Aretha. When she sang, you could feel the electric energy in every word. It's like each word was an atom, and the power of her soul cracked the atom, and the energy of that word went out and touched wherever that word went. Aretha, I have pictures of my sister up here, and these were on the Final Call newspaper, front page, and where my column is. I see Aretha as divine. I looked in her face, I looked in her eyes, and so help me God, when she came to the mosque in New York, I do not remember studying her face, what she had on. You know how some men are, a great artist and a fine woman comes unannounced. You want to look. No, you want to stare. And you want to behold her in every dimension, if you know what I mean. Like some were looking at my little sister at the funeral, Ariana Grande. Some of the great preachers. Now, you know they was staring at something. I'm so glad I wasn't in that conversation. Because I looked at my sister, and as God is my witness, she was brought to me while I was on the rostrum. And by the way, I called the family, Sister Charlene, through my secretary and administrative assistant, and I asked, could I come? Not to speak. I didn't want to speak. I just wanted to be in the place where her family and her friends and the mourners, people who really felt a sense of loss. That's where I wanted to be. She called and told us we had 4 seats, and the security could be in the auditorium, but there were no seats for them. So I was never expecting to be on the stage. I was expecting to have 4 seats in the audience. But Bishop Ellis, may God bless him, he took me by the hand and brought me to my seat, picked up a paper that had my name on it, and sat me front and center on the stage. Now, some of you wondered, especially white folks, how did that man get up there? You ought to shut your mouth. Your day of directing our affairs is all over. Over. So I want to explain. I thank Bishop Ellis, and those of you who know him, tell him that the minister was so happy to be there in his house of worship with his wife, and beautiful Aretha Franklin choir. You know, when you have all those stars in one place, you're talking about soul. That day, soul was everywhere you could look in that church. The people of soul, the people that God has sent to this earth to be a balm for us, because God knew we had 400 years of hard tyranny. So these artists, and I'm talking now to the whole artistic community, you have helped us to make it one more day under the tyranny of white supremacy. So Aretha was a queen in that capacity. Not the queen of soul on an R&B level. She was that too. But Aretha was the queen of soul, and soul meaning the essence of our being that comes directly from God. And Aretha touched all of that in us. Like most of our black artists, particularly females, you don't have good men. I'm sorry, brothers. We don't know how to handle women that are intelligent, that are go-getters, that are young, gifted, and black. We don't know how to handle that. So most of our female artists have never had men in their lives that they could look up to with honor, deep and abiding respect, and profound love. Aretha sang Chain of Fools. I don't know who she was talking about. Oh, dear. But you know, my dear sisters, when you fall in love and you think that the handsome man who's muscular and strong looking but weak-minded, what? Somebody said, "You call my name?" No, I'm not talking about anybody in particular. Fantasia was there. And me and my family, we stayed up all night voting when she was on American Idol. We just kept voting. So I had never seen Fantasia up close. So this was my opportunity at Aretha's homegoing. I happened to go in the back, and there she was with her husband. And she said, "Minister, I'm so nervous because I've got to sing one of Aretha's songs." I said, "Sister, don't be nervous. Just get inside the word. Everything will come out right." I said, "You know, Fantasia, Aretha wrote a song and sang a song called Angel. I had never heard it before. But when I got to Detroit for the funeral, one of the brothers played it for me. And she was looking for an angel in her life. An angel to be compatible with her. An angel. But unfortunately, she probably never found that angel. So I said to brother, Fantasia needs an angel in her life. And he said, yes, she's been an angel to me. I said, yes, I know. I said, but what we need is for you to be an angel in her life. In Detroit, the meaning of atonement has everything to do with us repairing the damage that we have done to each other in our ignorance. We've damaged our wives, damaged our children, damaged each other. In fact, Elijah Muhammad and Master Fard Muhammad were arrested right here in Detroit. You know what they were arrested for? They asked the believers at that time to take their children out of the public school and put them in the newly formed Muhammad University of Islam. Now, Elijah Muhammad taught us, if a man won't treat you right, what would make you think that man would teach you right? So in the public schools, the enemy wants to make us a better tool of service for him. So when we took our children out of the public school, they came to the school and arrested the teachers. And Elijah Muhammad went to the jail and said, I am their teacher, so if you're going to arrest them, arrest me too. Today, if you have an independent school, somebody paid a price. If you have Afrocentric education, somebody paid a price. If you know how to stand up for your beautiful black self, somebody paid a price. In those days, Master Fard Muhammad gave out holy names to the people. What do you mean, holy names? Have you ever checked out your name? See, white people are not directly from God. See, if God is truly your father, you would wear the name of your father. But when you've got to name yourself after the creatures of God, what do you mean? My name is Mr. Green. I'm Miss Brown. I'm Mr. Shaw. I'm Mr. Peckerwood. Yeah, some of you got names like that. I'm Mr. Overstreet and Underhill. I'm Mr. Black. I'm Mr. White. Oh, and by the way, I'm Mr. Washington. Washington had so many slaves and impregnated so many women that you got Washingtons everywhere. And you love your master's name. It's a heck of a thing, man. I'm playing football and I'm running. Washington didn't give me my gift. God gave me my gift. So if I can run through the line and make it to the goal and shake it off and say, I did it. Who did it? God gave you the gift to do it. But you did it in the slave master's name. Muhammad Ali came along. You remember him, don't you? He was Cassius Clay. Mr. Muhammad said, no, you are Muhammad Ali. Muhammad is one of the names of God. It means one worthy of praise and one praised much. Ali means most high, not the one who smoked the most reefer, but most high means on the elevated plane of life, God is the Most High. When the white man had these black children coming in their school with a holy name of God, they said, this is terrible. So this, Mr. Muhammad, you are contributing to the delinquency of a minor. And they told him he was on probation, but if you put these children back in school, you'll be all right. Mr. Muhammad never did any such thing. And so today, we have black schools popping up all over America. Black people wearing holy names: Jamal, Salim, Muhammad, Kareem, Jabbar. But we suffered to use God's name because the white man knew that his name on us meant we were still his property. So you can't be a free man and a free woman until you free yourself from your slave master's name. So Miss Johnson, Miss Jones, LaQuisha, Pookie, you can find a better name. And you can go in your own people's names And once the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave me my name, I never had to go to white folk and tell them, you know, this is my name. And they asked me, where did you get that name? I said, I got it from my teacher. Did you go to court to get your name? I said, did you go to court to take my name? So on one level, white America has to make atonement to repair the wrong that was done to our fathers. They have to make atonement to the Native American people for the genocide that was visited on the Native people. They have to make atonement for our Mexican or Latina and Latino family, you know, that are speaking Spanish, but they don't know nothing about Spain. They were colonized by Spanish white folk, Portuguese white folk, French white folk. So now you speak Spanish, some speak Dutch, some speak Portuguese, some speak English, and we're all arguing with one another, all because an enemy came in our house and has us now fighting each other, thinking we are all different. This is the kind of message that will set us free. Beloved brothers and sisters, reconciliation is a necessity. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Whenever you've hurt your brother or your sister, the only way you can reconcile differences, you got to know when you have done something wrong, and don't be afraid to admit it when you know you're wrong. It takes courage to go to somebody that you have wronged and ask for forgiveness. I want to go right to Miss Blasey Ford and Judge Kavanaugh, now Justice Kavanaugh. In this world and in human life, people outgrow bad habits, bad deeds, and change their life. Would you agree? Yes, sir. Paul, the apostle, said it best. When I was a child, I spoke as a child because I thought like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So if Judge Kavanaugh bothered Miss Ford when she was 15 and he was 17, now that lady was a victim of something. So how do you know, Farrakhan? You know, I've been listening to liars for a long time. In fact, my business is trying to get a crooked tongue to speak straight words. When I saw that woman give her testimony, now I don't want you to think the minister's crazy, but tears came in my eyes, because no man should take from a woman what a woman does not want to give. And when that woman stood up and went through the horror of what Mr. Kavanaugh is alleged to have done to her, she had to relive it. Because that kind of thing, when you experience it, you don't forget that. It's seared into your memory. You may put it behind you and think it's gone somewhere. But when you least expect it, that thing will come out and make a problem for you. One of the worst things that a man could do is abuse a woman, take advantage of a woman or a little boy. I don't know how in the heck somebody can stand up and look holy and be sucking on little boys. Damn. I don't understand. There was a time when you could marry and be a Catholic. Get that for me. Thank you. There was a time. Hey, that wind is cutting up out there. Boy. But I'm fine. I hope it's getting better for you. How could you be a true Christian and rape little boys? How could you utter the name of Jesus and say a mass? Somebody need to kick something that rhymes with mass. That's a shame. This stuff is so rampant now. I don't want to poll the sisters in the audience, but in many of my lectures, when I start talking about female abuse, the audience gets quiet. Because some of these beautiful women in here today have been abused by their own fathers, grandfathers, uncles, brothers, cousins, friends of the family. It's a hell of a thing that our women have suffered.
And that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us on Liberated Sisters. Thank you to our producer-engineer for the live recording, Felicia the Poetess Morris at Morris Media Studios. Thank you so much to Ricky Herrera, our engineer here at KPFK. You can hear Minister Farrakhan's full message in its entirety at I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad, saying if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace.
Let's change the world divided. We